you have a story, you want a reading, you want me to help you with your life, you have a health problem that you can't put your finger on, and you're like, why is my shoulder constantly in problem? And you want me to read it and you want me to get into it. I'm not that medical expert, but I can tell you where the emotion is attached to it. I think you'll be surprised at how powerful that is. So I would love to hear from you. Go to lisawilliams.com/podcast-guest and we will get you on the show.
Hi everyone. Before we begin, I want to let you know that this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. The advice and insights shared here are based on my personal experiences and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or business advice. If you are dealing with a specific issue, please consult a qualified expert. And thanks for watching.
Hi, and welcome to Hope, Healing and Transformation. I am your host, Lisa Williams. This podcast is really to help you have a deep sense of connection. And whether you've been on your spiritual journey for some time or you're just new to it, this is your home base for any form of intuition, any wisdom, just to help you. And you are exactly where you need to be at any given time in your life. So as we dive in, I'm going to help you unravel the mystic and the mysteries of life. We're going to unlock your intuition. We're going to help you find healing. We're going to help you find hope. We're going to give you some ideas for transforming your life, because there are times that we are in this natural space of change and none of us know how to navigate it. I know I am speaking personally. And what I want to do is I want to take you into real deep conversations, deep, honest awareness, rather than just going off on this like woo-woo fluff, because there's so much woo-woo fluff out there. I really want to help you understand the truth. And that can be really hard. And some of it might become controversial. And listen, I'm okay with that. Today, I'm going to take you right back from the very beginning. From when I started as a psychic medium to my days working with the amazing Merv Griffin, who was uber talented, to the divorce that happened, to the changes in my life, to how I got to this moment. And some of you may have actually seen this whole journey. Some of you may be going, kind of recognize the accent, kind of recognize the name, but why? And so I'm going to take you on this whole journey into how I got to here. So I can't wait to work with you and help you through all of this. So let's go back right to the very, very, very beginning of me. Yes, this is a British English accent, and I didn't swallow the book of Harry Potter and take on the, Hermione's character. This is the real me. I came from the UK almost 18 years ago, and I came because I had this magical moment with Merv Griffin. Have you ever thought to yourself, oh my gosh, it's not what you know, it's who you know? Well, in my case, it was. And also the golden door of opportunity literally opened up. I was very, very blessed. I literally came over to America because I did a reading for a very famous person. And he said to me, Lisa, why don't you come to America? America's going to love you. You will love America. And I'm like, I don't know, should I? And honestly, I was very, very skeptical. But my boyfriend at the time, who then later on became my husband in the TV show, which you have probably seen, and then brought me to America. And I was like, I don't know whether this is a good idea. One, that big famous celebrity really let us down at the last minute. And then two, I was stranded here not knowing what to do. And so, of course, you need a rhythm. You need a life. We had to set up a house. We had to do everything. We came over for 3 months because if you know anything about visas or whatever, you only have a limited amount of time to come into the country. And so I had 90 days. We had booked our visa for 87 days. So we were going to make the most of these 87 days. Okay, we went to Universal Studios. We got Charlie into daycare. He really threw himself in there because he wanted to have some friends. We got into parties. We went to different locations. Oh my gosh, we went to Legoland. We did everything that you could ever imagine. We were a young couple with a child, and we were just having the time of our life. And then I woke up one day and I had this stabbing pain in my left side. And I was having this dream. That I was at a wedding. I remember it to this day. I remember exactly where I was at the wedding. And I remember waking up going, I need to go to the hospital. And that's when I went to the hospital. And my boyfriend at the time was like, here we go again. So I went in, stabbing pain. Ladies, you can relate to this. If ever you have had any form of endometriosis, any form of OBGYN issues, you will relate to the pain. And it is intense. And I get in there and my blood pressure is way high. My heart rate is super high. And as they're taking my heart rate, they then admit me. And I'm in this room waiting to try and find a bed. And I have this moment where I black out. Well, it didn't quite black out. It was like a whiteout. And all of a sudden, the noise was like, woo, 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 woo. And I went into this silence. I went into white. And it was just this uplifting experience that I have never, ever, ever felt before. It was like meditation on steroids. If you imagine that you have ever gone into a meditation, but then you've kind of gone into this ethereal world, that was what it was. And that was my near-death experience. The pain had become so much that I had actually crossed over. And my grandmother was standing there. And my grandmother was like, Lisa, you have to go back. And I'm like, why would I come here? This is like amazing. I had no pain. I didn't feel anything. I felt comfort. I felt love. I could see my grandmother. I could see everybody I loved. And she's like, you have to go back. And I'm like, but why? And honestly, I had this long conversation. And when I say I had a long conversation, it felt like days. It felt like the time had literally stretched. And it wasn't. It was literally less than a minute in our time length, in our time. And so I had this time and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go back. And so next thing I know, it was like this real weird thump back into reality. This thump back into reality that made me feel heavy. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt constricted in this body. And suddenly the pain was back. This excruciating pain was unbelievable. And then I blacked out again. And next thing I know, morphine was coming, and they stabilized me. And after, I think, a few days in hospital, the doctor said, we need to take out your ovary and fallopian tube. And so I thought, okay, sure, why not? And at that point, it was a really, really difficult space. I'd been having all of these issues before, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, I literally have probably 20 days on my visa left. 20 days. I've got to recover in that time. I've got to do this. And he said, don't worry, we're going to get you sorted. Now, have you ever thought that angels are on your side? All right, because I know that there are times that I think about it myself. And I often look and I often say to myself, I must have been really blessed at that moment. Because there I am, and he's like, we will extend your visa. Well, no one gets your visa extended on a 90-day visa. It doesn't happen. So I walked in to the British Embassy. Yeah, or was it the American Embassy? I walked into one of the embassies. It was the American. And in I walked, And I looked to my right and I saw this, the zigzag line, and you're like, oh my God, I've got to wait in that queue. And I looked and I went, have I really even got to go there? And this woman was walking by and I said, excuse me, do you mind helping me? Here is my doctor's note. I have to have surgery. I don't know where to go because I need an extension on my 90-day visa. And she said, where's all your documents? And I said, here they are. And I handed over 3 passports and I handed over the documentation. And we're standing there wondering what is going on as she walks away with my only thing that I have, which guarantees me to either stay or leave the country. And that's my passport. And this random woman walks away with it. Less than 5 minutes later, she comes back stamped. She said, here you go. And I'm like, what? She said, here you are, you have another 30 days. I'm like, she said, you were supposed to go and wait over there, but why not? You caught me at the right time, and here it is. And I'm like, oh my God. And so here we are. I am then wondering what I'm going to do, how I'm going to manage this. I had all the phone calls to make. I had all these appointments that I needed to reschedule because all my clients in the UK for readings were waiting on me. And then I had to go in for surgery. So I walked into surgery ready to do this, and my insurance was not covering it. They said it's an elective surgery. And I'm like, how can I do this? And my doctor, I never forget it. He said, go through emergency and they cannot refuse emergency surgery. So that's what happened. I went through emergency and in I went. And so off I went to have this surgery. Now, let me backtrack just 2 days earlier. I had a phone call from someone and someone said, hey, you did a reading for me, for my daughter at this person's concert, which happened to be the person that brought me over to America that suggested I come. And they said, we would love a reading with you. And I said, I'm going into surgery. I'll do a reading for you on, I think it was the Tuesday. And this happened to be the Wednesday or the Thursday. I said, I'll do a reading for you on next Tuesday. Now, bearing in mind, I shouldn't have been in the country. I should have been home back in the UK. So I have my surgery. I go through. It's fine. Everything's happy. I'm going through recovery. And then this woman turns up. And she turns up and remember, I should have been out the country. And I do this reading. And she said to me, hey, you know what? I know just the person you need to speak to. I said, to whom? And she said, Merv Griffin. And I went, who's Merv? And in her American accent, which I'm not going to do because my American accent is really awful, but she's like, you don't know who Merv is? And I said, no, I don't. Well, that was it. And that was how I got to meet Merv Griffin when I should have been out of the country. And then within a few months, I then record this TV show, which didn't go anywhere. And then 2 years later, I get this random phone call from Merv Griffin. And he says, Lisa, it's Merv. And I'm like, oh, wow, hi. He said, I have these new producers I want to work with. And they want to do something with your TV show. And that's how Life Among the Dead came about. And so it's all synchronicity. Life Among the Dead came about, and here I was thrown into the media as a psychic medium. I'm going to tell you one of the scariest things that can ever happen is being thrown into the media as a psychic medium. And you are literally like at the mercy of everyone. And you are literally, it's this dog-eat-dog situation where they are constantly trying to prove that you are wrong. The skeptics out there, the people who are, I mean, at the time we had this guy, Randy, who was offering $1 million to anyone that we could prove that we were accurate. It was really hard, not like it is now with TV shows and paranormal and everything else. This was really a real pivotal point in the mediumship world, in the spiritual world, and it wasn't easy. And so, of course, many of you might have seen Lisa Williams' Life Among the Dead, and I was thrown into things. And I got to tell you, Merv Griffin, the first time I did Jimmy Kimmel, he actually summoned me to his house. And he's like, Lisa, I need to see you because your interview with Jimmy Kimmel was basically shit. Thanks, Merv. Thanks. Way to go to make a girl feel good. And so he brought me up to his house and he interviewed me. If you don't know anything about Merv Griffin, this is a guy that dominated the late night TV shows in the 60s and 70s. Okay, he was this big TV superstar and had interviewed thousands of people. Whitney Houston, Tom Cruise, all of these famous superstars. And here I am, sitting in his bedroom, being interviewed by Merv Griffin. And for 3 hours straight, wherever that man went, I had to follow him and he would throw a question at me. And then the phone rang. I never forget this. This is wild. The phone rang and it was Nancy Reagan on the phone. And he hands me his phone and he's like, Lisa, speak to Nancy. And I'm like, hi, Nancy, how are you? It's like wild. That was one of my craziest moments. And, and it was crazy. But all throughout that time, what was actually happening to me is I was in this journey. I had this young child. I was newly married and that marriage was not good. It was a really, really difficult time. And many of you might have seen it on the TV show. It was a very, very difficult space for me. And what happened is I got divorced. I went into a messy divorce. I went into a messy relationship. I went on to do messy things. And I disappeared from the media. And let me tell you the reason why. If you're a mum out there, you'll understand what I'm about to say. My son was 14. And at that point, I had been over in America about 8 years. I had traveled the world. I had been on every TV show you can imagine. I had been on Oprah. I had been on Good Morning America. I had been on all of the major talk shows, all of the major networks. I have done every red carpet you could ever imagine. And my life was really at a pivotal point. And so I bought a vacation home in Western New York and I went there for the summer. We left LA just for like 6 weeks and we went. And then the awful situation happened. My son went missing. Charlie went missing and he went missing for probably about 16 hours. I didn't realize he was missing at the time because he would often just go and play in the woods and things like that. And it was a gated community, but there was a lot of different people coming in and out. And so as it started to get dark, I then started to get frantic and I started to wonder where he was. And I was like, where's Charlie? And I was literally shouting all throughout that whole place. I was in and out of the woods. I had people looking for him. I didn't know where he was. We were searching. We went out on kayaks looking in the lake. We were in people's houses. I had 3 or 4 people searching around and the police wouldn't do anything because he hadn't been missing for 24 hours. We were having a freak out. They say, go home and, listen, wait for the phone. Go home just in case they walk in. And I didn't know what to do. So I did. I went home. And then it was early that morning that something said to me, he's coming home. He's coming home. And 10 o'clock that day, he walked in. And I am in panic. I grab him and I say, Charlie, and I'm literally coming down the stairs at that point, and he walks in through the front door. And I'm like, Charlie, where have you been? Oh my God. And it was just like, I was like in tears. It was I was a mess. And he said, Mom, I heard you. I was hiding in the woods. And I'm like, I searched the woods. He said, no, you didn't search completely. He said, I was hiding in the woods around the back of the pet cemetery. And I said, but why? And these words that I heard echo through me. And he said, I wanted to know that I was important to you. I wanted to know that I meant something to you. Because all you do is work. He said, I want you to stop. I want a mum. And that was it. I gave it all up. I stopped. I stopped traveling the world. I stopped going in different locations. I still did what I needed to do. But I went home and was a mum. And that's when I decided to leave LA. I left LA, moved to Western New York, and my whole life transformed. You know, it was amazing how it changed. But I had to make a decision on whether it was the media or not. And so, you know, people are often saying to me, I wish your TV show would come back. And it wasn't because I didn't want it to. It was because I had a more important job. And that was to be a mom. And then the crazy thing happened is I actually met somebody. I met someone who I'm now married to. And in that time, I'm thinking, okay, Charlie, you know, when Charlie leaves school, I'm going to start back at it. I'm going to get back and do this. And then another thing hit. My husband's former wife, who actually they were separated from, and because my husband is in the military, she had been sick, and that they remained married because of military benefits. She suddenly died. She died, just gone. And I then had to become a stepmom to a 14-year-old girl who was heavily grieving, who was not stable emotionally, whose mom had been taken from her. And I was forced to love somebody I didn't know. And I was forced to love somebody who hated me. And when I say forced, it was more the fact that I had to really show love and prove my love. And I'm telling you, any stepmom out there, any person who is in that space will know what I am talking about, because it's not an easy place to be. And when you have somebody who hates you and pulls a knife on you, and you sleep with one eye open because you're not exactly sure what that girl is going to do, it's scary. And there were times that she would rage, and all I knew what to do was hold her. All I knew what to do was just hold her and give love. I didn't know the woman that passed away, but I loved her dad, and I grew to love her. And now she's my life. She is one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. And at night of 17, she actually asked me to adopt her. And it was like this whole marriage proposal. It was seriously like this whole marriage proposal. And over this period of time, all I could do was ground myself in me. That's all I knew how to do. And if you think about it, everything is unraveling around me. All I knew what to do was be me and go into my core truth, my core essence, my core being. And that was the most powerful part of it. And so in this journey of what's been going on in my life since life among the dead to now being married with 2 children, one biological and one adopted, it's been crazy. And then along came a dog with it, George, who many of you might have seen when we went through the pandemic. If you came to train with me, honestly, you would have seen this big pit bull. And both Max and my dog George passed away last year. And so in all of this chaos, I managed to keep myself going, working as a psychic medium, working as a healer, and being a speaker, and also a teacher. And now what I've done is I've brought all of my teachings now to this podcast. And I wanted you to have some understanding of where my life has been. And the reason is it will show you the resilience and the issues. And when you see something like this, like a podcast, you actually think, oh, they've got their life together. Well, I'm going to tell you, my life can be a shit show. It can be an absolute shit show. My husband is active duty military. He's currently in, playing big boy army, which is what I call him. He's on a field trip in California. I don't know where he is, what he's doing. And I do also know that I can't communicate with him. So my life can be all over the place. I have 2 children that are living in one house in New York. I am often separated from my kids and my husband. I don't know. My life is just crazy. It really is. Behind the scenes, it might look, in front of the here, it might look amazing, but behind the scenes, it's a mess. You don't want to go in my kitchen. And let me just give you a little bit of a secret here to me. I love DIY. I love home interior and DIY. So I've often got a power drill in my hand or something because it keeps me out of my churn. What is going on? Because what happens is when we're so woo-woo, we're so connected, our intuition is around us. We're so in there, we're so away with the fairies. But that keeps me grounded. Anyway, back to you. What I want to help you understand is that while things look perfect, it's not always. And that I've had life experiences. And one of the things that I personally want to do right now is make a public apology. Because as my years of being a psychic medium in my 20s and 30s, yes, I've been doing this for a very long time, I felt like I understood the women that were coming to me, but I also realized I didn't. I'm in my 50s, and now I finally realize my clientele and where they are at. There's massive life changes. We're becoming caretakers. Our health is struggling. Our careers, we want to make a change. We're starting to use this intuition. We're learning through our relationships. We've got kids that are we're empty nesting, or we're starting to have these children, and we are trying to manage it. It can be a nightmare and we don't know which way to go. So I want you to know I've got you. I've got you. This is an intuitive space that we're in, because I'm going to tell you, as soon as you turn 50, as soon as you turn 40, there was no handbook. There was zero handbook. And I look at myself and I still feel like this 22-year-old innocent person, and I have no idea where life is taking me. And so I'm sure I'm saying this, I'm sure you feel exactly the same. So let's talk about intuition. Your intuition is your secret weapon. Let me repeat this. Your intuition is your secret weapon. And there's another thing that I'm actually going to really drive home throughout this whole podcast. You are the most important person in your life. Not your kids, not your spouse, not your work colleagues, not your family. You are the most important person in your life. And if you are not putting yourself first, no, forget this, I gotta love myself. But if you are not putting yourself first, how can you be helping and doing your work? How can you be showing up? And when you are putting yourself first, you are taking that moment to pause. You're allowing that pause to come, and you're allowing your intuition to start coming through. Your intuition will save your life. How many times have you gone out the house and had to say, you know what? I feel like I should go a different way to work. And then what you'll do is you'll get to work and be like, wow, there was a big car accident. How many times have you said, maybe I shouldn't go on that trip? That's happened to me. I've done it time and time again. And that's not just because I'm Lisa Williams. All right. No, that is because I listened to my intuition. My own intuition saved my life with my own health. My own intuition saved my life in so many different stories. My own intuition realized when things were not right in my marriage and they needed to be changed. My own intuition has saved myself from being in a space. And some of you are going to say, okay, so how do you do this? how do you change your intuition? So I'm going to take you through this whole process, okay? So what I want you to do is stop what you're doing, all right? Stop cooking dinner, I don't know, stop driving, or do this when you're not driving, please, okay? And what I want you to do is I just want you to sit. I want you to just breathe. Just take that breath, take that moment, just feel really, really easy, feel really connected to yourself. Okay, and anchor yourself into your identity, who you see yourself as, whether that is a mom, whether that's an accountant, whether that is, I don't know, a friend, a daughter, a son. I want you to connect yourself into your identity, your true, honest identity. And when I connect myself into my identity, I identify myself with my work. And when I can connect into that, I then go deeper into my soul. And that identity that we come into is then we become part of that and we embody it. So when you connect really deeply into the identity, you recognize that spark within you. You recognize your true self, because that identity is when you show up as your authentic self. So that's the most important thing. Your identity has to be your authentic self. I'm not saying I'm not authentic as a friend, but I have to be so authentic in my work. And so I connect in to that point and I show up in my authentic self. And then where that takes me in my body, often it's taken me into my gut, but wherever it's taken me in my body, what I'm going to do is I'm going to operate from that space. So anything that comes to me now, any question that's asked of me, I'm really going to connect into that. And I'm going to feel whether it feels right or wrong. I'm going to hear a little voice that says yes or no. I'm going to connect in and go, feels a little bit off. That is the true part of your intuition. That is what we're going to be using throughout this whole time. That's the one thing that's kept you safe all your life. That's what's given you the answers that you have needed for everything. So trust it. Allow it to be. And that is the platform of everything. That's the platform of mediumship. That's the platform of psychic. That's the platform of healing. That's the platform of navigation in your life. That's a platform of dealing with deep-seated trauma. That is where you need to be operating from. It's this deep core connectivity into yourself. It is the spiritual part of you. It is the spiritual part of you. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in whatever it is. I want you to believe in you, because you are the most important person in your life, period. That's all that matters. So before I go, I want to actually share with you how to use a simple tool, and that is a pendulum, okay? I have so many abilities. So throughout these podcasts, we're actually going to be doing, we're going to be looking at mediumship. I'm going to be doing readings. I'm going to be connecting with people. We're going to be doing psychic readings. I'm going to show you healings. We're going to do everything. So please like, subscribe, and follow me. Share it out with everybody. Facebook, Instagram, all your socials, all right? Please, please, please share. So here's what you're going to do. A pendulum is simply a reflection of your inner being. And what that is you already know the answers to your life. You're like sitting there going, yeah, whatever, Lisa. But no, truly, you already know the answers to your life. And what I mean by that is we all come in with the life plan. We all know how it's going to work, but we just don't consciously know it, but our body feels it. And just like a lie detector, your body is going to go weak when something is incorrect. So I'm going to show you 2 ways of checking how you can connect in with your intuition or find whether something is right. First of all, we're going to use simple muscle testing. Now, use your non-dominant hand. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to use my non-dominant hand, and I'm going to place my 2 fingers to get my finger and my thumb together. There are magnets, okay? You probably heard that we have magnets in our body, or our body is magnetic. And we also have energy running through our body. How does an EKG work, all right, if we don't have energy running through our body? Now, much like a lie detector, as I said, when your body knows something that's wrong, it will go weak. When your body is certain that you are right, it's going to be strong. So I'm going to show you, okay? I'm going to use my little finger here to try to open this. And you might have to practice this for a little while, so try it. Okay, I am actually going to say, is my name Lisa? And I've got resistance here, okay? So is my name Lisa? Resistance, which means I'm strong, I'm confident, I'm strong about this. Is my name Sally? No. It's weak because my name is not Sally. Is my name Rebecca? No. And no matter how much I'm putting down on here, it's not going to come around. So look, here we go. Is my name Christopher? There you go. It's coming out. So that's what it's telling me. Now, here's the other thing. I can pick up something. Look, here's my cell phone, okay? Is this good for me? All right, I'm just going to put it. Is this good for me? That's a big no, okay? So that was no. I have water here, all right? So here's my water. Let's just place this. Is this good for me? And I've got a yes. So we can test what is right and what is good for us in that way. Now, also, we can use a pendulum. Now, what I like to use is one that is an acrylic pendulum because there's no energy attached to it. You can use the ones that have, crystals attached to it and everything else, but then you've got energy with that. So I'm just like to use this. You can use anything. I can use a necklace, whatever you want to do. And all you can do is literally ask for a yes, and your pendulum will move in whatever way you want it to move. Okay, so mine is moving clockwise, all right? And then I can say, give me a sign for a no. And then my pendulum is going to go, I don't know which way it's going to go today. It's going to go anti-clockwise. There we are. It's going to go anti-clockwise. And then I can start asking it questions. So is my name Lisa? And I've got a yes. Is my name Carol? And I've got a no. There we go, got a no. And when you see people, when you can see the pendulum, them doing that, sometimes it's because they're starting the pendulum. They're moving their hand to start the pendulum swing. And sometimes my pendulum can spin so much, that it actually moves my hand as well. I'm not moving my pendulum, but I'm not moving my hand or influencing it. And so you can ask questions of it. You can ask questions that you already know. There is this thing where it's like an invasion of privacy. You can't really force, is my husband cheating? Is this, is that? You've got to read things that you know. So if you think your husband's cheating and you kind of know it, ask your pendulum. It's going to tell you the truth, whatever it may be. So let me just ask, do I drink alcohol? There's a no. No, I don't. Some of you may have known me to drink alcohol. I became sober 2.5 years ago, all through Gabby Bernstein, so thank you, Gabby. Do I now eat meat? Yes, I do. I was vegan for 17 years, and now my body needed more protein. And so, yes, I eat meat. So this is how a pendulum works. So I'm going to say to you, try it. In fact, on my socials, let me know how that worked for you, whether or not you've been doing the muscle testing or whether or not you use the actual pendulum method. Try it, because these are going to be some of the things that I'll be talking about on the podcast, and we'll be bringing guests in to show you how to work with these tools, and so therefore you can help yourself in this actual change. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Join me follow me on all social media networks and social outlets. Please come along, share me with all of your friends, and I can't wait to be connected with you. Remember that hope is a moment, okay? We're all looking sometimes for a moment of hope, but really it is about guiding you to that place of belief. And remember that you are the most important person in your life. That's something you should never forget. My name's Lisa Williams. Thank you for joining me on Hope, Healing and Transformation. I can't wait to see you next, because next time we're going to be talking about how mediumship and coaching work hand in hand to help you navigate through grief. I'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.